All right, today's topic is the history of Easter. History of Easter. How many people are in here? This is their first year in the truth. They haven't been over a year. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. There you go. That's a raise. That's a raise. Okay, good. So yeah, you can learn something from this class today. All right, we'll start off with the book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8. Colossians 2 and 8.
The book of Colossians chapter 2 verse 8.
Come on.
Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit.
So the Bible says, beware if any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit. Come on.
After the tradition of men.
After who?
The tradition of men.
Come on.
After the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ.
And not after who?
Not after Christ.
All right, so as we get into today's class, what you'll see, not only just Easter, but all of these pagan holidays, they have nothing to do with the Bible. Do they try to take scriptures and manipulate them and flip them? Yes, they do. But when you actually go into the Bible, that's not what it's talking about. All right, from there, let's go to the book of Titus chapter 1 and verse 14. Titus chapter 1, excuse me, and verse 14.
The book of Titus chapter 1 verse 14.
Come on.
Not giving heed to Jewish fables.
To what?
Jewish fables.
What is a fable? Give the mic to this brother. What's your name again, bro?
Zakar, sir.
Zakar. Yeah, I remember that. Zakar. All right.
It's a lie, sir.
A lie, exactly. Not giving heed to Jewish lies, meaning what? Just because Christ did resurrect, because that's in the Bible, right? So that would pertain to the Jews. That doesn't mean that he resurrected on Sunday. That doesn't mean that. Or there's a such thing as Good Friday. These things, yeah, they come from the Bible, but that's not what it's actually talking about. And the Bible says what? Read it again.
Not giving heed to Jewish fables.
Come on.
And commandments of men.
And commandments of men. All right, we are not to do that. It says, beware lest any man deceive you. And it says, do not give heed to lies pertaining to our book. All right? Give me the first tab. Make sure you blow it up so the people can see on both screens. All right, this is from a book called The Two Babylons. All right, it's a very good book. Goes into a lot of good history of and origins of holidays. Written by Alexander Hislop.
The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop. Then look at Easter. What means the term Easter itself? It is not a Christian name.
It is what?
It is not a Christian name.
Where does it come from?
It bears its Chaldean origin on its very forehead.
Chaldean origin. Who has the precept to show who the Chaldeans are? Who are the Chaldeans? Brother Joshua.
Ezra 5 and 12.
All right, give me that. Ezra chapter 5 and 12. So what is it talking about? It says it bears its Chaldean origin. Okay? Let's find out what that is actually talking about. Read what you got.
The book of Ezra chapter 5 verse 12.
Come on.
But after that our fathers had provoked the God of heaven unto wrath, he gave them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon.
The king of who?
The king of Babylon.
Read.
The Chaldean.
The who?
The Chaldeans.
So when it says the Chaldeans, it's talking about the Babylonians. All right? So let's go back to the book. It bears its Chaldean origin.
It bears its Chaldean origin on its very forehead. Easter is nothing else than Astarte, one of the titles of Beltis, the Queen of Heaven.
The what?
Queen of Heaven.
Okay, make sure y'all write that down. We're going to come back to it. We're going to deal with it in the scriptures. It says the Queen of Heaven. Come on.
Whose name, as pronounced by the people Nineveh, was evidently identical with that now in common use in this country.
In common use in this country, meaning what? The ancient Babylons, they did the same thing as the Americans today. Because Easter or Astar or Ishtar or Ashtoreth are the same person. They now in America celebrate the same thing that the ancient Babylonians were celebrating. Read on.
That name, as found by Lyard on the Assyrian monuments, is Ishtar.
Is what?
Is Ishtar.
Come on.
The worship of Bel and Astarte, was very early introduced into Britain along with the
Druids.
Druids.
Stop. All right, it says the worship of Baal and Astarte was very early introduced into Britain along with the Druids, the priests of the groves. Some have imagined that the Druidical worship was first introduced by the Phoenicians. Now, the Phoenicians. Now, the Phoenicians, that area, Phoenicia, is north of Israel or Jerusalem. All right? So, I want to get that in your head because we're going to address that later as well. Now, from there, let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 10. All right, try to follow me. We're touching key points for a reason. It's all going to tie in together. Try to follow. Let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 10, and we're going to start at verse 6.
The book of Genesis, chapter 10, verse 6.
Come on.
And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabtha, and Ramah, and Sabekah. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod.
And what?
Cush begot Nimrod.
All right, so we see from the line of Ham came somebody by the name of Nimrod. All right, read verse 8 again.
And Cush begot Nimrod. He became to be a mighty one in the earth.
Come on.
He was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Now, when it says mighty hunter before the Lord, it just means what? He slayed the souls of men. All right, he caused a lot of people to sin. That's all it's going into. Read it again.
He was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Come on.
Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel.
Was what?
Was Babel.
This is referred to in history as Neo-Babylon. In history, this is referred to as Neo-Babylon, meaning what? This kingdom came before the Babylon of Nebuchadnezzar. Okay? What's the name of his kingdom? Read it again.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel.
All right, from there, let's go to tab 6. Read that.
The identity of Nimrod, however, and the Egyptian Osiris.
So it says, the identity of Nimrod, however, and the Egyptian Osiris. Now, it says the Egyptian Osiris. I want you to pay close attention. Come on.
Egyptian Osiris having been established, we have thereby like as to Nimrod's death.
Come on.
Osiris met with a violent death, and that violent death of Osiris was the central theme of the whole idolatry of Egypt.
Come on.
If Osiris was Nimrod.
If a what?
If Osiris was Nimrod.
So what you'll understand, brothers and sisters, when it comes to idolatry, it's the same idols by a different name. Once again, it's the same idols by a different name. So if you go to one land, this same idol is called this. If you go to this land, this idol is called that. Their stories may differ slightly, but it's the same idol. Come on.
If Osiris was Nimrod, as we have seen, that violent death which the Egyptians so pathetically deplored in their annual festivals was just the death of Nimrod. The accounts in regard to the death of the god worship and the several mysteries of the different countries are all to the same effect.
Are all what?
All to the same effect.
It's showing you what? All of the countries worship this same thing. Now, let's go back to Genesis 10. Genesis 10, and read verse 10 again.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 10. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar.
Now, let's go to Genesis 11, and we're going to start at verse 1. Now, I want y'all to keep the thought. It just said, in the several mysteries of the different countries are all to the same effect. Meaning what? They all go by the same idols or pagan gods. There's a reason. Let's go to Genesis 11 and 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 11, verse 1.
Come on.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech.
Read it again.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech.
So everybody at this point in time was all one. I'll say it again. Everybody at the time of Nimrod, we were all one. Read on.
And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there.
Come on.
And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city, and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven.
Whose top may reach where?
Unto heaven.
All right, because going into the question from earlier, as you'll see, idols, they separate you from the Most High God. That's what you have to understand. So, in doing so, they wanted to build a tower to overthrow the Most High. Read on.
And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
Read.
And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one.
The people is what?
The people is one.
Come on.
And they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do.
Come on.
Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language.
Do what?
Confound their language.
Read.
That they may not understand one another's speech.
Read.
So to the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore, it is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
So there goes your different countries, right? There goes your different languages, your different people. Now, read from, excuse me. You see to the right, it says, was just the death of Nimrod. Start at the.
The accounts in regard to the death of the God worship and the several mysteries of the different countries are all to the same effect.
So y'all understand why they were all to the same effect? Oh, boy.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Boy, oh boy, I tried. Did I lose you? Okay, Johan, do you know what's going on? Do you even...
Yeah, read it again.
All right, read it again for me, brother. You too, Simon. You need to pay attention to this thing, all right? Read what you got.
The accounts in regard to the death of the God worshipped in the several mysteries of the different countries are all to the same effect.
Now, do you understand why all of the different countries worship this idol to the same effect? Do you understand? Okay, give him the mic.
Because they all spoke one language at one point in time.
At one point in time. Exactly. That's all it is. All right. So from there, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and 12. All right, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 12. Actually, as y'all get that, Jediah, start at right after the same effect. Just finish that for me real quick.
A statement of Plato seems to show that in his day, the Egyptian Osiris was regarded as identical with Tammuz. And Tammuz is well known to have been the same as Adonis, the famous huntsman, from whose death Venus is fabled to have made such bitter lamentations.
All right, so it just threw out a lot in that one sentence. Tammuz. Who is Tammuz? Who is Tammuz? Let me hear Joshua.
The Israelites were worshiping him, and
I know that.
Ezekiel.
I'm asking you, who is Tammuz?
Tammuz is another name for Nimrod.
All right, give me some more history on that, soldier. Give me the mic.
Tammuz is Nimrod's son.
Right. Come on, give me some more.
Yeah, it was, he slept with, he wound up sleeping with his mama.
What's his mom's name?
Easter. Ishtar.
What's
Asherah.
what's her Babylonian name? I hear somebody saying it.
Isis.
Osiris.
No, Isis is her Egyptian name. What is her Babylonian name?
Oh, yeah, I hear the kids back here. It'll be Esther.
Oh no.
I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, who wanna give, good job, soldier, but that's correct. Who wanna give it a shot? What's her Babylonian name? You got it, Sakar? All right, give it to Sakar.
I think it was Semiramis, sir.
Semiramis, that's correct. Semiramis, yeah, exactly. So yes, Nimrod died, Tammuz was born, Semiramis married her own son. Okay, that's the history. Now, when you get to the Egyptian culture, it's Isis, Osiris, and then Osiris is the reincarnation of Nimrod, which is Tammuz. It's the same idols, just in a different language, exactly, or a different fashion. Okay. Now, let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and 12. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 12. So, when you read this, you can get a better understanding of what it's talking about. All right, read what you got.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 12.
Come on.
For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life.
Come on.
For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever.
Read.
For by the vain glory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end.
Read.
For a father afflicted with ultimity, mourning.
Oh, wait a minute. What is going on?
Untimely.
Oh, okay. Let's read that again. Sheesh.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 15. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he had made an image of his child, soon taken away, now honored him as a god.
Now did what?
Honored him as a god,
Come on.
which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices.
They did what?
Delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices.
Come on.
Thus, in the process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law.
Was kept as a law. From this one story, it was kept as a law. And you see this story still being pushed in the earth through Christianity. Through Christianity. Where do you think the virgin birth comes from? Where do you think that comes from? It comes from Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz. It's the same thing over and over and over again. All right, from there, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 8. Ezekiel chapter 8. Now we're going to connect it. That's showing what? Over time, even through biblical times, this story was still being pushed, and our people were being simple, following these customs. Now, I think Deacon Yellowstop said this last class. We read the Bible, right? And we look at it like, dang, why would our forefathers do that? That's crazy. But you have to understand, we were doing the same exact things. Same exact things. Now, read what you got. I call it Ezekiel 8, right? Start at verse 10.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 8, verse 10.
Come on.
So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things, and abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel,
Come on.
portrayed upon the wall round about.
Read on.
And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients, of the ancients of the house of Israel. And in the midst of them stood Jazaniah, the son of Shaphan, with every man his censer in his hand. And a thick cloud of incense went up. And said he unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of the house of Israel do in the dark? Every man in the chambers of his imagery? For they say, the Lord seeth us not. The Lord hath forsaken the earth. He said also unto me, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do.
Read on.
Then he brought me to the door of the gates of the Lord's house, which was toward the north. And behold, there sat woman weeping for Tammuz.
There sat what?
Woman weeping for Tammuz.
Weeping for Tammuz. Where did we just read about that? Right, we just read about it in the history. We just read about it in the history, why they were doing what they were doing. It says women weeping for Tammuz, showing what? The Israelites, they started observing the customs and the religions and the idolatry, most importantly, of who? The Chaldeans. The Chaldeans, because during this was during the time of the Babylonians. All right, in the history. Now, go to, I actually want you to read the bottom of that again, soldier. When it says, a statement of Plato. Read that again.
A statement of Plato seems to show that in his day, the Egyptian Osiris was regarded as identical with Tammuz. And Tammuz is well known to have been the same as Adonis, the famous huntsman, for whose death Venus is fabled to have made such bitter lamentations.
Who is Venus? Who is Venus? We understand Nimrod, Tammuz, but who's Venus? Hands. Hands. I still don't see a hand. Brother Mordecai, who's Venus?
A Greek god.
Who's no?
Female Greek god.
Who's Venus?
Is it Nimrod?
No. This is not Jeopardy.
It's another name for like Semiramis and Osiris. Just in Greek.
It's another name for Semiramis and Isis. Exactly. Another name for Semiramis and Isis. Venus, the Romans refer to Semiramis or a star, Ishtar, as Juno and Venus. Write this down. The Romans refer to Semiramis as Juno and Venus. All right, so they keep the story, they keep that thing going on, but they just call it by a different name. All right, from there, let's go to, this is tab number 6. Yeah, that's tab number 6. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 16.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 7, verse 16.
Come on.
Therefore, pray not thou for this people, neither lift up cry nor prayer for them, neither make intercession to me, for I will not hear thee. Seest thou not what they do in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem?
Come on.
The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough.
They do what?
Knead their dough.
Come on.
To make cakes to the queen of heaven.
To do what?
Make cakes to the queen of heaven.
They make cakes to the queen of heaven. So, I told the sister that it was a good question in regards to birthdays, because you have to understand where these customs come from. Who said that you're supposed to bake a cake? And, oh, the candles. Hold that. Go to Jeremiah 44. Jeremiah 44. I want to touch this before I forget. Where does that custom of the cake and candles come from? Where does it come from? They just say, you know what? I think it's good to put some wax and actually light on fire. Put wax and fire in a cake. Let's do that. Where does that come from? Who thought of that? All right, read what you got. Jeremiah 44 and start at 18.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 44, verse 18.
Come on.
But since we left off to burn incense to the queen of heaven.
To do what?
Left off to burn incense to the queen of heaven.
Burn incense to the queen of heaven. You see this? Y'all see this smoke right here? That's burning incense. Going into what? Those candles. Read.
And to pour out drink offerings unto her. We have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine.
Come on.
And when we burned incense to the queen of heaven, and poured out drink offerings unto her, did we make her cakes to worship her?
Read that again.
Did we make her cakes to worship her?
Come on.
And poured out drink offerings unto her without our men?
Because brothers and sisters, we got to understand, their customs are not our customs. When we taking part in these wicked feasts, these idolatrous acts, we have to realize you're sacrificing unto the devil. That's what you're doing. Give me that in 1 Corinthians 10 and 20. You're sacrificing unto the devil. All right? Because the Most High God ain't never ordained anybody to make cakes, put candles in them, and just start burning them and just being happy. Nope. He didn't say to do that thing. All right? Read what you got.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20.
Come on.
But I say that the things with the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils.
They do what?
They sacrifice to devils.
The things that the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to the devil. Because the gods of the nations are what, brothers? Idols. 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 All right? And ceramicis. Actually, go back to tab 1. Go back to tab 1. Where did it pick up off? It says, read it from the beginning. Watch this.
Then look at Easter. What means the term Easter itself is not a Christian name. It bears its Chaldean origin on its very forehead.
Come on.
Easter is nothing else than Astarte, one of the titles of Beltis, the Queen of Heaven.
The what?
The Queen of Heaven.
Read verse 19 again.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 44, verse 19. And when we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven.
Of who?
When we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven.
Showing you what? Just like you say, why are they putting on them suits on Sunday? They were doing it back then. They were doing the same thing. They were celebrating Easter back then. Which was what? Wickedness. The Most High God put us into slavery because we did this. It's the same thing over and over again. Y'all understand that, right? Yes, sir. All right. From there, let's go to Acts chapter. Okay, go ahead. Give him the mic. What's your question?
It was the Queen of Heaven will be referring to Venus, and what was her other name?
Venus, Semiramis, Isis, Juno. And we're about to read about another name she was called. Let's go to Acts chapter 19 and verse 24.
The book of Acts, chapter 19, verse 24.
Come on.
For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith.
Hold on, wait till they get it. I want to make sure everybody follows along. This is Acts chapter 19 and verse 24. Acts chapter 19 and verse 24. All right, read what you got.
For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana.
For who?
For Diana.
Who's that? Who's Diana? He said he made silver, excuse me, shrines. What is a shrine? First, let's deal with that. What is a shrine? Hands. Northern Kingdom. I know Northern Kingdom know about shrines. Let me hear you.
Got him! A place of worship?
Place of worship. Give me some detail. Paint the picture for us.
A rug, maybe a picture of idols and candles and things draping off of it.
Exactly. A shrine. Exactly. He's right. He's 100% right. 100% right. All praises. So read it again. Read it again.
For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana.
Which he made a temple dedicating it to Diana. Who is Diana? Hands. Let me hear Johan.
Semiramis, Isis.
There you go. Semiramis, Isis, that Venus, Juno, that's who that is. Now, you know how it said all of the other countries, they have different names for the same deity or idol? Who called her Diana? Which people called her Diana? Brother Joshua.
The Ephesians.
The Ephesians, that's correct. Make sure you write this down. The Ephesians called Ishtar or Venus or Semiramis Diana. Okay? While we're at it, get ready to write this down. I'm going to do like how Bishop does the 7 heads in the EU. All right, just get ready. I'm going to run them down real quick. All right, Greece referred to her as Venus and Aphrodite. The Romans, Juno and Venus. The Ephesians, Diana. The Egyptians, Isis. The Babylonians, Semiramis and the Queen of Heaven. The Assyrians, Ishtar. The Israelites and the Phoenicians, Ashtoreth. Let's continue. All right, let's continue. Hey. All right. From there, let's go to Acts 19 and 24. Let's read that.
The book of Acts, chapter 19, verse 24.
Come on.
For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana.
Come on.
Brought no small gain unto the craftsmen.
Read.
Whom he called together, which the workmen of like occupation, and said, Sirs, ye know that by this craft we excuse me.
Let's try that again. Let's try verse 25 again.
Uh-huh.
Reset.
Whom he called together with the workmen like occupation, and said, Sirs, ye know that by this craft we have our wealth.
So he's saying, hey, because of these shrines, because of the goddess Diana, this is why we have gain, financial gain or wealth. So he's praising the goddess. Read.
Moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at
Ephesus,
but almost throughout all Asia, this Paul had persuaded and turned away much people.
So he's like, hey, y'all know that we get paid off for making these shrines for Diana. But now this Benjamin Paul is coming on the scene. He's coming on the scene. Hey, he's taking our business away from us. These are your Christian pastors right here. That's what they are right there. They're like, hey, these dang Israelites keep telling us these ain't in the Bible. They taking money away from us. We losing members. It's the same thing over and over again. Read on.
Paul had persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods, which are made with hands.
Made with what?
Made with hands.
Idols are not gods. They are wood and stone. They have no beginning. They have no profit. Come on.
So that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised.
You see that? You see that? They are worried that the people are going to lose faith in this idol. All right, read on.
And her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worship.
And the what?
All Asia and the world worship.
Y'all have to understand, America's not the only country celebrating Easter. You have to understand, every country celebrates it. Why? Because it stems back to the original idolatry. The Japanese, they worship it under a different name. The Asians do it under a different name. Y'all have to understand this thing. All right? Read on.
Verse 28.
Come on.
And when they heard these sayings, they were full of wrath and cried out, saying, Great is Diana of the Ephesians.
So they're mad now. They're mad with Paul. Read.
And the whole city was filled with confusion. And having caught Gaius and Aristarchus, men of Macedonia, Paul's companion in travel, they rushed with one accord into the theater. And when Paul would have entered in unto the people, the disciples suffered him not. And certain of the chiefs of Asia, which were his friends, sent unto him, desiring him that he would not adventure himself into the theater. Some therefore cried one thing, and some another. From the assembly was confused.
They were now confused because Paul was teaching what? That's no God. What are you doing? Our God is the Most High God of Israel. I'm teaching the testimony of Jesus Christ, that now all Israel has a chance at repentance. Read on.
And the more part knew not wherefore they were come together. And they drew Alexander out of the multitude of the Jews. And they drew Alexander out of the multitude, the Jews putting him forward. And Alexander beckoned with the hand, and would have made his defense unto the people.
Come on.
But when they knew that he was a Jew, all with one voice about the space of 2 hours, cried out, Great is Diana of the Ephesians. And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, Ye men of Ephesus, what man is there that knoweth not how that the city of the Ephesians is a worshiper of the great goddess Diana, and of the image which fell down from Jupiter?
Remember, she's referred to by the Babylonians as what? Let me see if they caught that. Think about it. The Babylonians referred to her as what?
The Queen of Heaven.
The Queen of Heaven. The Queen of Heaven. Read verse 35 again.
Verse 35.
Come on.
And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, Ye men of Ephesus, what man is there that knoweth not how that the city of the Ephesians is a worshiper of the great goddess Diana, and of the image which fell down
Which fell
down from Jupiter?
She is known as the Queen of Heaven. So they're believing what? This Queen of Heaven, this fertility goddess, was in heaven. She fell down From Jupiter, from the heavens. That's what they believe. Read on.
Verse 36. Seeing then that these things cannot be spoken against, ye ought to be quiet and to do nothing rashly.
All right, so he's saying use wisdom because they will kill you because of Diana. That's what he's saying right here. Showing what? Our people were so gone in the way of the Ephesians that we would kill our own people. Same thing you see today. Same thing you see today. The Christian church, our family members, they speak much evil against us because we teaching the truth. But they want to hold on to these traditions of men. As we read in Colossians 2:8, we are not to do so. All right? From there, let's go to tab 4, and then we'll go to Judges. Tab 4.
Such is the history of Easter, the popular observances that still attend the period of its celebration amply confirm the testimony of history as to its Babylonian character. The hot cross buns of Good Friday and the dyed egg of Pasch, or Easter Sunday, figured in the Chaldean rites just as they do now. The buns known to by the identical name were used in the worship of the Queen of Heaven.
The worship of who?
The worship of the Queen of Heaven.
And we just read that in Jeremiah. They used to bake the cakes. All right, the Catholic Church, they still have the buns. I know me growing up in the black church, I ain't never saw the buns. But you'll see the Catholic Church put those black crosses on their forehead. That's what you'll see. That custom comes from the Babylonians. All right, they still make the cakes. They call it the hot buns. They put the black cross on their forehead. Read on. Yes. Go ahead.
The goddess Easter, as early as the days of Crepus, the founder of the Athens, that is 1,500 years before the Christian era. One species of sacred bread, says Brian,
Read.
which we used to be offered to the gods, was of great antiquity.
Meaning what? They kept this custom. It was of high esteem. Meaning what? This is great of antiquity. We're going to continue to keep this custom going. Read.
And called Bowen. Diogenes Laterus, speaking of this great offering made by Empedocles, describes the chief ingredients of which it was composed, saying, he offered one of the sacred cakes called Bowen, which was made of fine flour and honey.
All right. From there, let's go to the book of Judges 2. Judges chapter 2. So those were the customs. The eggs, the buns, and the cross. That was the custom. That cross represented who? Tammuz. The T represented Tammuz. This still represents him till this day. All right? Read what you got. Judges 2 and 13.
The book of Judges, chapter 2, verse 13. And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtoreth.
Read that again.
And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtoreth.
Read, start at verse 11.
Verse 11.
Come on.
And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Baalim.
So we want to show you in this class that what? God calls this thing evil. He says the children of Israel decided to serve these other gods, and that is an evil act. All right, read on.
And they forsook the Lord, God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods.
And did what?
Followed other gods.
Come on.
Of the gods of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked the Lord to anger.
Read.
And they forsook the Lord, and served Baal and Ashtoreth.
And Ashtoreth. Ashtoreth. Who is that? Who is Ashtoreth? Easter or Ishtar. Now, in which tongue? What tongue is that? What tongue is Ashtoreth? Which tongue is that? Which tongue is Ashtoreth? Who said it? Somebody said it.
Babylonian?
No. Hands. Hands. What tongue is Ashtoreth? And tell us.
I'm gonna say Assyrian.
You're close, but no.
Phoenician.
Phoenician, right. That's correct. Phoenician. All praise. The Israelites, we also refer to this goddess is Ashtoreth as well. All right, Ashtoreth or Ishtar is the, actually, type that in on Google search, type in Ishtar. It's a fertility god. All right, this, the custom of the eggs also ties into this aspect of the quote unquote goddess as well. That's it. That's the one right there. The fertility goddess. Right there. So where were we at just now? Read Judges 2 and 13 again.
The book of Judges, chapter 2, verse 13.
Come on.
And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtoreth.
And Ashtoreth. This is who our forefathers were worshiping right here. Ashtoreth, the fertility goddess or Ishtar. All right. From there, let's go to tab 5. Tab 5. Now the Assyrian tongue is Ishtar. All right, and the Phoenician tongue is Ashtoreth. I read that.
In ancient times, eggs were used in the religious rites of the Egyptians and the Greeks, and were hung up for mystic purposes in their temples.
That's a shrine that we read in Acts 19. That's a shrine. Read.
From Egypt, these sacred eggs can be distinctly traced to the banks of the Euphrates. The classic poets are full of the fable of the mystic egg of
Read that again.
The classic poets are full of the fable of the mystic egg of the Babylonians.
Read Titus 1 and 14 again. Because with Easter, you see the bunny, you see the eggs. But in the literature, it says it right there. Read what you got.
The book of Titus, chapter 1, verse 14.
Come on.
Not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men.
The Bible says we are not to do that. I want you to continue to read this passage.
The classic poets are full of the fable of the mystic egg of the Babylonians.
So it comes from where? The Babylonians. All right. The Egyptians and the Greeks also follow suit. Read.
And thus its tale is told by Hyginus, the Egyptian, the learned keeper of the Palatine Library at Rome, in the time of Augustus, who was skilled in all the wisdom of his naive country. Native country. An egg of wondrous size is said to have fallen from heaven into the river Euphrates.
Wait. Read that part again.
An egg of wondrous size is said to have fallen from heaven into the river Euphrates.
Where did we just read that? Where did we just read that? And where? Let's go back to it. Acts 19, was that 34? 35. Read that.
The book of Acts, chapter 19, verse 35. And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, Ye men of Ephesus, you men of Ephesus, what man is there that knoweth not that the city of the Ephesians is a worshiper of the great goddess Diana?
Come on.
And of the image which fell down from Jupiter.
That did what?
Fell down from Jupiter.
Stop. Go to the passage.
An egg of wondrous size is said to have fallen from heaven.
That what?
Said to have fallen from heaven.
Go back to the Bible.
Diana, and of the image which fell down from Jupiter.
All right, so let's try to connect this. Hold that. Read it again in the passage.
An egg of wondrous size is said to have fallen from heaven.
Let's go back to the Bible.
Diana, and of the image which fell down from Jupiter.
Where would Jupiter be, brothers? In the heavens. All right, so let's go back to the passage.
The fishes rolled it to the bank, where the doves, having settled upon it and hatched it, out came Venus.
Out came who?
Out came Venus.
There you go. There's Diana. There's Diana, the one who fell from the heavens. There's Semiramis. There's Venus. There's Ishtar. Do y'all see this? It's the same thing. The same story over and over and over again. All right? Drop that. Let's go to Acts chapter 12 and 1. Acts chapter 12 verse 1. So then you have the brother who's going to say, well, hey, isn't Easter in the Bible? That's the brother who's going to say, hey, Easter's in the Bible. All right, let's get the context. Let's find out. Read what you got.
The book of Acts, chapter 12, verse 1.
Come on.
Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread.
Then was what?
The days of unleavened bread.
Now, verse 3, brothers, is very heavy. Verse 3 is very, very heavy. Now, what time of year does the Feast of Unleavened Bread fall? Brother Zakar.
It will fall in the first month, Abib.
Abib. So according to the Gregorian calendar as we have today, which months does that fall between?
Will be March and April.
March and April. All right, read it again, soldier. Good.
Verse 3. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread.
So it's telling you the time period. It's telling you the time period right here. Read.
And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternations of sword.
Whoa. Damn. Let's try that again. Verse 4. Let's take our time. Quaternions. Okay.
Acts chapter 12, verse 4.
Come on.
And when he apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people.
Intending what?
After Easter to bring him forth to the people.
So, why is Easter right there? It just said unleavened bread, so why does it go to say Easter? Let's find out. Go to tab 3.
This is in fact a part of the ancient worship of Baal, and the person on whom the lot fell was previously burnt as a sacrifice. Now, the passing through the fire represents that, and the payment of the forfeit redeems the victim. If Baal was thus worshipped in Britain, it would not be difficult to believe that his consort Astarte was also adorned by our ancestors, and that from Astarte, whose name in Nineveh was Ishtar, the religious solemnities of April, as now practiced, are called by the name Easter.
Wait, read that again.
The religious solemnities of April.
As religious what?
Solemnities of April.
Of what?
Of April.
Of what?
Of April.
So it's showing you what? That this feast or festival falls at what time? April. April, which is also always around which high holy day? Passover. Exactly. Let's go back to the Bible. Read verses 3 and 4.
Acts chapter 12, verse 3.
Come on.
And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him 4 quaternations of soldiers to keep him.
It's quaternions.
Quaternions.
Yes.
And delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people.
It says after Easter to bring him forth to the people. Showing you what? They always fell somewhere around each other. Now, who's ruling at this point in time?
Romans.
The who? The Romans are ruling. Give me tab 2. Tab 2. Read that.
The festivals of Rome are innumerable, but 5 of the most important may be singled out for exclusion. Viz.
All right. So it says, but 5 of the most important may be singled out. So showing, hey, when it comes to America, they got all of these stupid holy days. They got National Donut Day. They have these crazy behind things. They got a lot. But they have their 5 core holidays. They have their core holidays that, hey, you better be off of work for this. I just found out I ain't even got to work tomorrow. I didn't even know that. They gave us off because of this wicked holiday. All right, read it again from the top, soldier.
The festivals of Rome are innumerable, but 5 of the most important may be singled out for exclusion. Christmas Day, Lady Day, Easter, the Nativity of St. John, and the Feast of Assumption.
Read.
Each and all of these can be proved to be Babylonian.
Proved to be what?
Proved to be Babylonian.
Right. All of these things stem from what? Ancient Babylon. And now the Romans, which are today, the Americans today, they do the same thing. But you see Easter right there. So during the time of the Romans, we see in Acts 12 and 4, hey, there it is right there, Easter. Easter, one of the Roman festivals, was kept during the time of what? The Feast of Passover, or unleavened bread. Give me Luke 22 and 1. Same thing, Feast of Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, same thing.
The book of Luke, chapter 22, verse 1.
Come on.
Now the Feast of Unleavened Bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover.
Which is called the Passover. Now, give me John chapter 11, verse 46. Double fold, just to show who's ruling, and it's the same thing today. Same thing today. These pastors go to these seminary schools, they go to these Bible colleges, and they have to learn how to teach the Bible a certain way. They have to make sure that they construct their services, make sure that their church is ran a certain way, so they won't be in trouble with the powers that be. All right, same thing was going on during the time of Christ. Give me that in John 11 and 46.
John chapter 11, verse 46.
Come on.
But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Jesus had done. Then gathered the Pharisees a council and said, What do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him.
Come on.
And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
Now see that? That's the same thing we got today with these Christian pastors. They are afraid to teach the people correctly, because if they do that, they understand what? Their status, their pension, everything will be taken away from them. But guess what? We live in a spiritual Sodom, spiritual Egypt, Rome. Actually, let me get that. Let me break this down. Let's go to the book of Revelations. We'll end here. I was going to go a different route, but we're going to end right here. Let's go to the book of Revelations 13. To understand the same way all of these different countries across the world, these different nations, kindreds and tongues, keep the same feast under a different name, you have to understand America itself is something very special about Babylon the Great. Babylon the Great incorporates every last thing ever since Neo-Babylon into this kingdom all in one. All of the great empires, Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Rome, Greece, they incorporate every last trait and everything into this one kingdom. I want you to read the book of Revelations, chapter 13. I want you to start at verse 2.
The book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 2.
Come on.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard,
Read.
and his feet were as the feet of a bear,
Come on.
and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority.
All right. So, let's deal with this. Let's deal with that. It says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. This is John the Revelator speaking. This is a vision that he saw in regards to Babylon the Great, okay? When it says the leopard, what is that referring to? Who knows? Brother Joshua, I need a precept too. All right, let me hear you. I just want to see where you at. Let me hear you first.
The leopard is Greece.
The leopard is Greece. Let's go. Does anybody have a precept before I go to it? All right, let's go to Daniel chapter 7, and we'll start at verse 3.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 3. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man. And a man's heart was given to it.
A man's heart was given unto it. That's talking about the Babylonians. That's talking about Nebuchadnezzar. All right, he got carnal. He started feeling himself, meaning a man's heart. He started getting puffed up, and that's how he fell. All right, read.
And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear.
Like to a bear. Who is that bear talking about? Other than Joshua. Let me hear Johan.
Was it Assyrians?
Once again, this is not Jeopardy. Yes.
Persians and the Medes.
The Persians and the Medes. Exactly. The Persians and the Medes. It's easy. You got to understand. You got to say them in order. Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Persian, Mede, Greece, Rome, America. So he's just going in order right here. All right. Read that again in verse 5.
And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself and it raised up itself on one side.
Come on.
And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh.
Devour much flesh. All right. Read verse 6, because it's going in order. So we'd have to know who 6 is. Read.
After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
That's going into what? Alexander the Great and his 4 generals, which is the what empire? The Greeks, the Grecian Empire. So let's go back to Revelations 13 and 2. Revelations chapter 13 and verse 2. Read what you got.
Revelation chapter 13 verse 2.
Come on.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority.
So we see that Babylon, or America today, is what? They take attributes out of all of the great kingdoms that were before them. And they do it what? They put it all in one. But their cheat code is Satan himself. It says, and the dragon gave him his power. Meaning what? Their technology. I don't care. I know Obadiah loves to praise Esau's technology. He marvels at it. He thinks, he sleeps, thinks, and dreams about it. He likes to share it with us all the time. But no, I'm not giving credit to the white man. Ain't no way that you know how to fly. That's garbage. How in the world that you just know how to fly all of a sudden? That is satanic. Y'all gotta understand it. That ain't normal. That ain't normal to have satellites in space. Y'all think that's normal? No. Read it again. In the dragon.
And the dragon gave him his power.
That's Satan. Satan is doing that. Read.
And his seat, and great authority.
Satan's the one who put him up on high, because he does what? Let's go to Matthew 4. What does Esau do?
The book of Matthew, chapter 4, verse 8.
Come on.
Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world.
Come on.
And the glory of them.
Read.
And saith unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me.
Fall down and do what?
And worship me.
And worship him. Gary, do his dirty work. And that's what he's doing in the earth. All right, last scripture. Let's go to Maccabees real quick, just to tie it all in. That same spirit of Nimrod from the very beginning. He was a great hunter, meaning what? He devoured much souls. All right, he led much people astray. Esau has that same spirit. That same spirit. Give me that in 1 Maccabees 1 and 41. Read that. And we'll end here.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 41.
Come on.
Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
That what?
All should be one people.
That what?
All should be one people.
Because that spirit is back on the earth today. Understand that. All the way from the time of Nimrod, that spirit came back through the devil himself, a.k.a. Esau, Idumea, the white man as we know it today. Satan's spawn. All right?
Shalom. This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcasts, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.